From Charlotte Powdrill wanting half of his wealth as alimony, to Sean O'Malley breaking the news to the entire world, this is why Israel Adesanya is being sued by his ex-girlfriend. Apparently, she just wants half of everything he has. The last stylebender has lately been engaged in all sorts of battles, inside and outside the cage. He may be very outspoken when it comes to his fights in the UFC, but Izzy usually keeps his personal life to himself. Recently, he started sharing some cryptic posts on social media, which led the fans to believe that something might be off behind the scenes. Adesanya posted some stuff on his Instagram stories that targeted women in particular, and while he may not have won any new fans doing that, it was pretty clear that his scathing remarks were directed at his ex. One such post contained a screenshot of a conversation between them, and most of it was about money. Izzy said that she has only ever cost him money, and now she feels that she deserves half of it, labeling her as an entitled, pompous brat. He dared Charlotte to start her stupid campaign. The Kiwi Nigerian went on for quite a bit after this, and he claimed that his former girlfriend had sold information on him. I don't know if that's true, but he sure can file a lawsuit over this alone. The middleweight champ made pretty clear to Powdrill that he doesn't care about her anymore. So starting this will come back to bite her, because Izzy's about to lawyer up. You see, after the huge rant, the last stylebender went on to tell his ex that it was the last she heard from him. Now she'll only be talking to his lawyers. Adesanya doesn't want to play around anymore, and he threatened Charlotte by telling her that he's got the time and the lawyer money to fight however long it takes. What's more, Izzy sent her the text containing all of his pent-up feelings on her birthday. That must have been fun for her. To be fair, the champ did look very distraught about the situation. As I said, he's outspoken, but has never talked about his personal life before this, so I think he got kinda carried away when he said that women's standards is just fairy tales they come up with after they're done living a nightmare. This obviously was a shade thrown at Powdrill, cause she was relatively unknown before getting involved with Adesanya, and he reminded her of that by referring to her as Stylebender's ex. Izzy was probably just lashing out cause he was hurt, but he ended up getting slammed for his statement. And speaking in favor of guys like Andrew Tate and Jordan Peterson didn't help his cause. The Kiwi Nigerian made an appearance on the Honey Badger Hour podcast, and he praised these polarizing figures. Izzy thinks that what they're preaching makes sense, and that men should be held accountable for their actions. Needless to say, these comments divided his fan base. While some of them might have been supporting the champ, most people couldn't believe what their favorite fighter said. Many were disappointed at Izzy, and some even reminded him that Tate has a problem with guys like him, because he too paints his nails and goes around in weird dresses. Another guy reminded Adesanya that he was talking about men being real men, while he holds a grudge against a 12-year-old child. That was a reference to Izzy's celebration targeting Alex Pereira's son. This, combined with his latest rant on his ex-girlfriend, has actually moved him to the top of the hit list for some people. Right now, though, he really doesn't care what people think of him. Adesanya posted a clip on Twitter this time. It said that he never tried to play hero in his life, and that he's no one's idol. So if people find a problem with how he's dealing with Powdrill, then they're free to leave. This wasn't just intended for those who are close to him, because it was largely meant for the fans that he seemingly offended. It's pretty clear that the last stylebender just wants to be left alone. But first, his ex went after his wealth. Then, when he reacted to the situation, a lot of the fan base started berating him for it. No wonder he tries to keep his personal life a complete hush. But maybe he should have been a little quieter in how he dealt with Charlotte. Then again, maybe he just wanted to get ahead of the situation before the whole thing blew up on social media against him. You never know how that's gonna play out. But the thing is, Powdrill isn't really active online, and not a lot is known about her. All I can tell you is that she's a real estate agent right now, and she used to work in the healthcare industry in the past. The couple were first seen together back in 2019 when they appeared on various public events, and Charlotte could also be seen cheering for Izzy during his fight with Robert Whittaker. They never got married, and they don't have any children together, and I can't tell you for sure how long they were together. They did break up sometime in 2020 for reasons unknown. Adesanya's recent post might have shed some light on it, like Powdrill wasn't supportive enough. But no solid basis for the split was ever made public. Stylebender's ex has her own source of income, so the whole thing about wanting his half of the wealth paints her as a sort of a gold digger, and Izzy's not ready to give her anything at all. But then the question is, how was she able to take him to court? Well, it's because of a law in New Zealand, according to which, if a couple is together for more than 3 years, then it becomes a de facto relationship. And at the end of such relationship, all properties, wealth, etc. must be divided in half between the two. It may seem weird, but that's the basis behind her whole case. And like I said, we don't know how long they were together, so Charlotte might have every right to drag the Kiwi Nigerian to court over this. And that's why he's getting his lawyers involved in this too. Of course, he doesn't want to give up half of what he earned. I mean, the man literally bled for it. And if his claims that she wasn't supportive of him are true, then she just can't expect him to give up his money. Sure, Izzy may be the middleweight king right now, but he had to come a long way to get there. Losses, injuries, horrible weight cuts, and intense training camps were all part of the journey, and he had to dredge through a lot of them on his own. This situation Adesanya is in right now makes him realize what Achraf Hakimi went through. The Moroccan national and PSG soccer star also faced a nasty divorce, and his wife tried to take most of his wealth. Izzy could relate to Hakimi, and went on to say that women think they're so entitled that they deserve what a man has worked his whole life for. He then added that when Charlotte came to his life, she had nothing, but now she wants to leave with millions? In the end, Adesanya said that his assets are also protected like Hakimi's were, so there's no way that Paldrell is getting anything out of him. Izzy warned her that he would have taken half her too, but he doesn't do half of anything. The last stylebender needs support from the MMA community now more than ever, and weirdly, Joe Rogan has been silent on the whole thing. Even though Izzy defended him when the UFC colorcaster was facing allegations of racism, the middleweight champ wasn't mincing words when he called Rogan one of the nicest, coolest out there. Obviously, Adesanya wouldn't be expecting Joe to come out and say something in his favor, but the silence has been questioned by the American film producer Tariq Nasheed, who was wondering where Rogan went now. He actually reminded people that Izzy went out of his way to support the UFC's veteran commentator, but now no one from that side is coming to defend Adesanya. Maybe Nasheed's reading too much into it, or maybe there's a point to all this. But the fact is that no one really has come forward in support of Izzy, except for Sean O'Malley, who actually brought the issue to light. You see, the posts that Adesanya made were cryptic at first. It was Suga who kinda interpreted them and talked about it on his YouTube channel. He said that he didn't even know the middleweight champ even had a girlfriend, and now she wants half of his The idea was absolutely ridiculous to Sean, and Charlotte should have been happy if Izzy even gave her $1,000. It makes no sense for her to demand that, because they weren't together for an extended period of time, and it wasn't like that Paldrell was cooking for him, giving him massages, or doing other stuff around the house for him. And even if she was doing all that, Charlotte still wouldn't have been entitled to half of his wealth. Some sort of compensation might have been okay, but half is way too much. O'Malley then added that you might love a girl and all, but the minute something goes wrong, then get crazy. So from Sean O'Malley breaking the news on it, to Charlotte Paldrell wanting half of his wealth, that was why Israel Adesanya is being sued by his ex-girlfriend.